call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock, 6:01. Are you all set, Rich, from BCTV? Okay, and then I don't see, now I lost him. Oh, Peter, you all good?
I'm good.
Okay, so,
Go on mute.
hey, Dwight, how are you?
Hello.
So, just so everybody knows, I swore at Kate last week on Friday, so she's now official. So, Kate, welcome to the board. Thank you very much for signing that paper. I figured you weren't going to do that and you were going to take off on us, but we appreciate having you here. So, does anybody have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Mark, do you have any? Mark, is there any public around?
No.
Okay. We have the minutes of the April 20th, 2020 meeting. So if we can get a motion to approve them.
Before that, Barry Pearson was not a board member in attendance at that meeting.
Yeah, I've got a couple other ones. Does anybody else have anything to add besides the Barry Pearson? Okay, I also had, and I thought I sent you an email, Peter, but I may have missed it. We came out of executive session probably around 7:35, and Richard and Rick were going to keep the board informed of where we stood. And then I don't remember.
7:35.
And then I think Rick motioned that we adjourn, and everybody agreed. And I don't think we had a roll call vote because I think everybody got off TV really quick.
So between when you emerged from the meeting, from the executive session, somebody was going to do what?
Rick and Rich were going to keep the board informed.
Good, thank you.
And then Rick moved to adjourn
Got that?
like 2 minutes later.
Noted.
I move that we approve the minutes of April 20th, 2020 as amended.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Dwight seconds it.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Rick Thorpe,
Aye.
Dwight,
Here. Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and Kate.
Aye.
Okay, so it's unanimous. We all voted. And then next thing is correspondence, which I have none. Matt or Tammy or Bill, is there any correspondence I'm missing?
I have nothing.
That has nothing. Tammy's shaking her head, and Bill ran away. He'll be back. Okay, so all business. We have equity, and that was a placeholder for future discussions. And Laura's not here, so hey, Bill, did you have any correspondence for us? Bill, did you have any correspondence for us? Okay. Website design, Mark, I believe you were gonna talk, you had some stuff you were working on.
Yeah, I went through the RFP from last April, I think. My recommendation is that we update the dates and take out the financial information and send it out as is. I know that's not the typical way educational RFPs get sent out, but in the business world, that's how we would send out an RFP for a website and let companies come back with a price. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, did we send that out? Was that part of the minute?
Nope,
meeting
never
packet?
sent out. Was never, the board never, board put it on hold at the time.
No, I meant, was it sent out for this meeting? It's,
Uh,
no,
nope.
Bill
I
said
can send,
sent
I can
out.
send it out quickly.
Okay, well, why don't you send it out and then, but let's talk, we'll put that top on the agenda next meeting, because that way people get a chance to look at it. I know we've had it before, but it would be brand new to Kate.
All right,
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
works for me.
Okay, cool. So Bill did submit us a calendar for the work plan. It looks like multicolored pieces of paper. Did anybody have any comments on the work plan?
No, I think you just updated those two things, right, Bill?
I updated those two things, and then just to update you on May 18th, we have on the calendar IB update, so Matt is preparing that for May 18th.
I was going to bring that up. I wasn't sure if we were going to do that again or do that still.
Yeah,
I
Matt,
think Matt,
I'll let Matt talk about it.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you that we talked about doing that the second meeting in May. And so I just wanted to let you know I'm ready. We'll be ready to do that. I should have something to send out to you by this coming Monday in preparation for that. So you have time to look over those survey results and read the administrative recommendation.
so Bill, on the agenda, on the next agenda under old business, we're gonna have website design. And then we're gonna have the IB review. And Matt, you're running away. You go the dog, the dog. You're gonna let the parents know that had written letters about this, right? So that that they can participate via whatever system they want to participate by.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put something out through the Power School alert system that lets them know that not only those parents in particular, but lets all the parents know that this will be a topic for that board meeting.
Yeah, I think we definitely, to those specific parents, we definitely need to let them know because they had concerns.
Yeah, I'll send them a specific email.
And then Mark, will they be like on this will they be one of the squares? Will we look more like Hollywood squares or?
Unless they call in on a telephone.
Okay, but somebody will be able to monitor if they have questions or comments, correct?
Yep. That's part of that procedure that I sent out to you guys before our first meeting. I'll send it out to everyone again.
Okay,
And
is everybody, well, go ahead, Mark, I'm sorry.
I was just going to suggest that it gets sent out to all the Wardsboro parents as well. I didn't know if you have separate lists or how that works.
Yeah, we certainly can do that. Tammy?
What is the ask, Mark? Can you just clarify that for me?
Just whatever message that Matt's going to send out to the Dover parents in regards to the May 18th IB review meeting that gets sent out to the Wardsboro parents as well.
Okay.
So everybody's good with that? Okay, cool.
So,
Anything else on the work plan for anybody? Dwight?
yeah, I'm just taking a look at it. Is this something, I mean, under normal circumstances, would we kind of be having a get together where we'd be designing what we want to be work on for the coming year, or if we should be filling some of it, or is this something kind of a homework project, or is this a work in progress? Or what's the plan going to be for the plan?
Yeah, if you see something that we're missing that you want to get in there, that this would be the time to bring that up.
Okay. Just saying, 'cause maybe we don't have any meetings in October. Or wait.
It's not that we have a meeting, but just when we're doing certain things.
No, I understand. Okay. No, I'll be happy to come up with some ideas. I'm just wondering if it's more of a collaboration, if there are other things we need to be discussing or.
Yeah, I think Bill and Matt and Tammy, we, one of the things too is like, I know in November you got to identify budget priorities. But we also talk about making sure, looking for efficiencies. Even though we have an approved budget, with Lori and stuff, and I don't have that in there. So maybe that's something you guys can talk with Lori, and maybe we can add that somewhere here in the future. Okay, Dwight, is there anything else you're thinking of specifically, or was that?
No, I didn't. I just was kind of wondering about the process. Like this will add to this as the year goes on, or that's what I was looking for. I didn't have anything to add specifically.
Yeah, it's definitely not like locked in, set in stone, and we can't change it. We can add and we can delete and we can move things. It was just kind of a framework so that people think of if there's something they have some interest in. And then also part of the thing is, remember last year while we were doing some of the budget reviews, people wanted to know when it would have been a good time to come and talk about that. And I think that November, identify budget priorities in the format.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rich. I think part of during the budget process last time around, there were questions about when certain things will be discussed. So, so parents could come to the meetings they thought would be most effective for the issues they were looking to talk about.
Yeah. So everybody else good, or anybody else got any comments on that? Okay, then moving along, our next item is auditor appointment, discussion, and possible action. So I have talked to the 3 people that had expressed interest. Last year, Robert McIntyre was one of our auditors from Eastover, Randy Capitani from Eastover, and Matt had talked to a Danielle Salway, who's a parent, and she has a bookkeeping business, part-time bookkeeping business, and lives up in Dover Hills. Unfortunately, they're all 3 from Dover, but they all volunteered. And the one thing they asked me was, what do we have to do? And I said, pretty much nothing. We just have to appoint, and they're willing to be appointed, and they're all willing if, we need to have something done, or we can call on them. So, I know last time we advertised and we had a gentleman from Wardsboro who was willing to do it if we couldn't find anybody else. And that was almost as hard a position to find as it was for a school board member. So if you guys want to appoint somebody, make a motion to appoint those 3, we could do that. And then just next year we need to, oh, my screen went away. We need to make sure we discuss it at the school district meeting.
So I'll move that we appoint those 3.
Peter, Robert McIntyre,
Yes, sir.
Randy
Noted.
Randy Capitani,
And Danielle Galloway.
Danielle Salway, Salway.
Yes.
Matt, is it Danielle or Daniela?
Danielle, no A at the end.
Okay, so
I remember
Mark,
she was at a meeting before.
okay, so Mark made the motion. Rick, you want to second it?
Sure, I'll second that.
Cool. We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? If not, we'll go through roll call. We'll start with you, Rick.
Aye.
Dwight.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Okay, so again, everybody's in favor, so the motion carries. Does anybody have any old business? Anything we missed from the minutes? Seeing none. New business, we had a written principles report. I know everything had something in it, but financial efficiencies. It's hard to have financial efficiencies during a COVID epidemic. Any questions, comments, Rick?
None here.
Dwight?
No, looks good.
That,
Can I get a hold of a copy to append to the
that-
minutes?
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Peter,
Hang on.
I'll send you a link to all the documents. The financial efficiencies, I'm just showing a bullet point with nothing else there. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, that's what my comment was. There are no financial efficiencies, so that's why there's nothing there. Kate, you have any questions? You got a copy of it, right, Kate?
Yes, no questions.
Okay. Anything other, Matt and Tammy, that showed up on the principals report that you want to bring up? Okay, you don't see anything, so moving right along. Superintendent's report. We had a 4.5 page superintendent's cabinet report. Did anybody have any questions on the written cabinet report?
What color are you
None.
painting in the inside of Dover? Same color?
We're going to stick with that nice mauve pink color. What do you think?
Oh, Bill doesn't like it.
No, we're doing it's a kind of a slate blue on the bottom and then a institutional off-white on the top. It looks really good. It looks nice.
The mauve came from the addition people and nobody liked it.
Yeah, it's going.
Bill, no questions on the superintendent's report. Do you have anything additional for the superintendent?
I do. It'll be brief, but I just wanted to update the board on the conversation that we had today. There were VSBA and VSA with the director of the Joint Fiscal Office, Mark Peralt, the Secretary of Education, Dan French, and the legislative aide from Peter Welch's office. And kind of the three big takeaways to keep you all informed is that Ways and Means is spending all day Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week trying to creatively come up with a solution, hopefully by the end of the week, to find 153 million, which is the projected shortfall in the ed fund for next year. In the superintendent's report, I gave you guys a copy of the latest from April 29th that was presented to the Ways and Means Committee about how to try to creatively use some of that money underneath the regulations that are tied to that money. They have some other ideas that they're trying to figure out, because the belief in the Ways and Means Committee is that absorbing 153 million on the backs of the property tax is just too high of a bar to try to accomplish. So I just wanted to make you guys aware that this week there should be a lot of movement on that. The Secretary of Education, without being explicit, intimated that the return to fall will not look like pre-COVID times. He was not explicit on what that meant, but he wanted to kind of start dropping the crumbs down that the fall is going to look something different than what we all have normally experienced in the fall. His operating principle is that we should be spending our time this summer planning for the fall and not trying to catch up what happened right now. I kind of think we're going to try to do both, because I don't want to miss the opportunity of, if there's an opportunity for us to do some robust summer work with students in small groups, I really want to take advantage of that, and so do the principals. So I think we're going to do two parallel paths where we're going to use the summer to plan for the fall, and we're going to use the summer to try to catch up at the minimum our most vulnerable students. But the fall could look very much like it looks right now. It could look a hybrid where we have kids coming in on certain days. It could look like back when I was going to kindergarten and you had a group come in the morning and a different group came in the afternoon. I don't know. But over the next 6 weeks, that's the kind of plans that we're going to be working on based on the guidance from the state. So I just wanted the board to kind of understand those contexts, or that context. Mark, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to watch the meeting from this afternoon, the VSBA will be sending it out to all board members. A link to it tomorrow. And Katie, I'll make sure that I send it to you so that you have it.
Thank you, Mark.
The biggest thing I took away from that meeting today was that they're very concerned about students were missing, students that were not being able to access, and I think there's going to be a lot of time and effort put into that. And I noticed that there was a new memo from the Department of Ed today about Medicaid and billing for students, for phone stuff. So it seems like almost every day there's a new memo from the Department of Ed that's creating a lot of work for everybody, making it like people jump through hoops. I wish, if they think that they're not going to have school in the fall, as it was pre-COVID-19, that they'd tell us now so we can start preparing, because that's going to be really tough on parents, especially in our area where, if ski area is open and the businesses get going again, sometimes the school is more than just education. It also does act as daycare for people. And if they don't have that, that's going to be a huge, I think they're going to go somewhere. If they don't want school, they're going to go into some kind of daycare situation or something. So I know, and you guys can push it to Superintendent's Association and Matt and Tammy, the principals, that if that is what they're thinking, they need to really push hard on that to let us know as early as they can, because that's, I think everybody's assuming that we're going to go back to school, at the end of August, beginning of September.
Yeah.
The VSBA has an emergency meeting this Friday. I can push it then as well.
Yeah, I really think if they're really considering that, then they really should start letting us know now. I don't know. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
I don't think it's just the schools that are in this boat. I think the daycares are also in the boat, because I have a child in each age bracket. And right now, my current daycare is closed. I have no idea when they're going to reopen or what it will look like when they do reopen and how many spots they will have. Right now, my employer is having us all work remotely. So I'm working from home with people coming and going, as you guys see. And this is the COVID normal at this point in the game. So I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see where we go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dwight.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, Bill, can you give us any idea of some of the things that are being bounced around to either, one, make up the shortfall, or what school may look like in the fall? I mean, some of the things that they're talking about, or do they even know themselves?
No, I mean, I think they're being really creative with the shortfall. I think actually this board has been very prescient to kind of wait and see what these discussions were going to bear fruit instead of diving into the worry right away. Because once they learn the rules of the 1.25 billion, then they came up with some interesting ideas. So kind of modeling the $1,200 check to citizens of the United States. They're considering grants to all property taxpayers, because that technically is not backfilling a loss of revenue. It's giving something to the citizens. So it's kind of in that gray area, but I really like the idea. And then they would just do it to match that 26 cents that is estimated to be lost. So everybody would get a grant on their tax bill that actually would gobble up that loss, but it would look like everybody paid, that the tax rate would rise, but then you get a grant to bring it back down to normal. That's one idea they're looking at, which I think has real promise. At least the Welch people felt that way.
This is a federal grant you're talking about now.
Well, no, the state has the money, and then the state gets to distribute that 1.25 billion however they decide. They just have to follow the rules that are provided.
Gotcha. Okay.
Secondly, when you talk about what it's going to look like in the fall, everything's kind of on the table. It could look exactly like it looks right now to start. It could look like it looks right now and bringing in small groups of kids. You know, Kate's first grade daughter might come in on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, but she's home on Thursdays and Fridays. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but we meet with the secretary on Thursday, so we'll be asking these questions that you guys are talking about. I think that Friday, May 8th is a big deal because they're going to talk about graduation ceremonies. And so I think that's going to be starting to show us kind of what their thinking is. And then back to a point that Rich talked about the most vulnerable kids and being in touch. I would let you guys know as a board, you should be really proud of your team because you have really high percentage of kids engaging. Just as an example, in Wardsboro, after 9 days off for vacation, 100% of all of their students engaged right after vacation. I mean, that is huge. That is a real connection to the school that is just gigantic. So you guys have really set a nice connective tissue that people want to be a part of. So we're going to have less kind of making up because we have a very engaged family and community.
I would say, yeah, and for the summer, you know, I've never been a big fan of summer school, but I think the engagement is really important for the kids. And if they don't have other things going on in the summertime, just the ability to reach out to their friends in the community and, you know, have a little bit of a learning experience, I think would probably be a good idea. So I'd be interested to see what they come up with or what we come up with in the summer months.
Yeah, we're operating on starting that planning after we hear from the secretary on Friday.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Is everybody all good with Bill's superintendent report? Okay, so part of that, under that, Bill's got a half day for professional development in school focus. You want to have a discussion on that. And we also got a email from Tammy and Matt, or a part of one of the packages was Steve and IB program development proposal. So I think these are kind of like go together hand in hand. I believe Matt and Tammy, are you okay with that? So Bill, why don't you start, and then Matt and Tammy, you can come in and tell us what's going on.
So basically, Matt, Tammy, and I have been discussing since August how to make sure that we are really developing the programs, really developing STEAM, really developing IB, really reflecting on not only implementing a program, but developing a program. And we have a model in West River that is going into its third year next year of developing. We needed to have some unification of all the schools that were working together in West River. And so we came up with a plan to do 6 half days throughout the year so that we could have all the elementary schools start working together and have the middle school kind of develop its middle school world while the high school was developing a reaction to their test scores, really. And it's been highly successful in getting the deep kind of development that we want in West River. And so I've been discussing this with Tammy and Matt for about 6 months. And I asked them to kind of collaborate on kind of a one-pager to share with you guys where our best thinking is right now. But we really would like to encourage the board to support 6 half-days next year for the development of the STEAM program and the development of the IB program above and beyond the winter sports days. We're finding that time is super critical, and we can really make some high-level, long-term, durable investments, but we just need to have that time. So that's kind of the broad strokes. And Matt and Tammy, if you can kind of flesh that out, that would be awesome.
Go ahead, Tam. Do you have anything to add?
I think you nailed it, Bill, really. I mean, basically, we're looking for some more time. I know, especially, STEAM is really in the infancy stages here at Wardsboro. And in order for us to really, develop a high quality program and get to the place where we want teachers to be integrating this within their classrooms, we need a little bit more time as a team, as a school-based team, in order for us to work on that.
Yeah, I think it's the same. What we're finding with IB is the same thing. The winter sports time is great, but we're looking for something that's a little more spread out throughout the year. Every 4 to 6 weeks, a new IB unit starts, and there's quite a lot of turnover that needs to happen in that time. And a lot of it is based on reflection, where teachers are reviewing the work that they've done and the effectiveness of that work. And it's really important after the job is done to have a look at it and try to determine whether or not it was successful and what you would change to try to improve it. So by the time January, February rolls around, the iron has cooled down, for lack of a better word or a better analogy, with those 2 or 3 units or 4 units that have been taught in the fall. So we're just looking for those times to try to grow the program, try to build the program, rather than just maintain the program in the case of the IB, to try to keep the status quo. We really want to we want it to grow. We don't want it to just stay the way it is. And we're finding we're struggling with the time.
Any board members have any questions? Do any board members have any questions? Mark, do you have a question? Bill or Matt?
Katie had her hand up first.
Oh, I was saying, sorry, I thought Tammy was talking and adding something after Matt talked, and I didn't hear what she said.
Yeah, I was muted and I thought I was not. Sorry. Thank you, Kate. No, in addition to that, I'm just wondering and hoping that the additional time could also lend itself to some collaboration between the teachers and the schools, given more time.
Okay. Mark?
So 2 questions. One, are half days better than full days? And you're basically talking about 3 full educational days. I could be wrong, but I would think that from a parent perspective, a whole day that they could plan for would be better than 3 whole days and having essentially 6 half days, which for a working parent would be a whole day. So just a question.
Yeah, no, the design is so that the school day counts. We don't
Okay.
have in our contract enough professional development days to take those as full days.
Okay. And that answers my second question. So thank you.
All right.
Anybody, Dwight, you have a question?
No, I think that was kind of similar. My question was, how many days do they currently use for professional development and how many are contracted? So is this addition to what they are contracted for, or is this the same?
No, we
Yeah.
would have,
Go ahead, Rich.
well, so I was just looking, we contract for 186.5 days. And I was trying to figure out, because I can't find it really quickly, but there's X number of days that are student contact days, and certain dates can be used for professional development. So maybe Bill, run through us out of those 186.5, because we did make some changes for the SU also to give you some additional days at the SU, and then we wanted to give Matt and Tammy some time to for in school besides. So can you run through that for us?
Yeah, so you run 186.5 days, and you run 176 student days. So that gives you 10.5 professional development days. Half of those, 5 days, you work in collaboration with the SU, and then half of those, 5.5 days, are specific to River Valleys. And those are spread throughout the year, but those are primarily about building up, preparing to teach the Common Core, the whole broad range of education, rather than the specificity of STEAM or IB. And thus, that's why we use the winter sports days to focus primarily on STEAM and IB. But the additional 6 half days would allow for the development of the programs, and as Tammy mentioned, also the opportunity for some merging, because you can imagine how it would make a whole lot of sense that some IB units are heavily influenced by STEAM, and we can get some cross-pollination that could be really helpful and beneficial to our students.
So then
I have
okay.
I have a question too. So, this ask is definitely like, it's reasonable, but is it adequate given the part that, the landscape of, the schedule may change pretty drastically next year? Do you think that this allows for that scenario as well? Or do you think that would bring, some other planning challenges to the table to work, IB and STEAM lessons in a distance learning or in a, 3 days a week in the school setting learning? Like, is that going to be adequate time, or how does that look?
So the honest answer is I don't know. But I think that it's a good place to start as we navigate whatever the world looks like. One benefit is that people are getting much more comfortable in this environment. So you can imagine where if we wanted a collaboration in October on a Wednesday, you might use part of the time in your own building working with the teachers in Wardsboro, and then you might spend part of that time collaborating over a distance learning with the teachers in Dover. So you could do both, and you could, adapt to the environment that's happening. So that's one of the benefits, that we're learning how to do this and be functional in this environment. But to be quite honest, until we know the rules of the game, no, I don't know if it's enough or not, but I think it's a good place to start.
Are you good, Kate?
Thank you, Bill.
Any other questions for Bill or Matt or Tammy?
So I'm understanding, Bill. So we would have a total of 16 and a half PD days now?
No, you'd still only have 10 and a half. It would, so you could look at it both ways. You could have, there's still student days, so it's still part of that 176, but the students would only be there for 4 of the 7 hours of the day. So you could cobble those half days together and make that count. I think you're right, 16 and a half. But they would both be student days and professional development days in the eyes of the AOE.
Okay, so the students are missing out on a half a school day, right, though? Is that
That is correct.
correct? Okay.
But it
But
counts.
I will say, actually, now in this environment, they could go home and do distance learning, because now that we know how to do it, it would make quite a lot of sense. That's
But
what
who would
looks
teach it?
like. There's a lot of independence that's going on with distance learning. You don't have to have, you know, synchronous action.
Okay, gotcha. Just wanted to make it clear.
But so where does, I think Rick is right though, because we also have those half days, the 6 half days from the winter sports too.
No, Rick is right. I'm taking half of those 6 days, these other 6 days, you combine those together, that's 6 days. And that adds on to that 10.5 that I referenced earlier. So Rick did the math faster than I did. That's 16.5.
And I thought our contract had 181 student days.
You changed that 3 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Is everybody good? I guess I don't know if I think if everybody's kind of in agreement, you know, I think we can say that yeah, we're good with this for the time being. But I think until we know what the calendar is going to look like, I think maybe we just say that yeah, this is something we'll go forward with. But until we know what the state's planning, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I think. Then the other part, are you going to be able to put that many faculty together? Because you're not allowed more than 10 people now in a meeting or in a building or in a work environment. So I don't know how that plays into it and when that's going to loosen up and, you know, if that changes. But so if everybody's good, I think we can give it a conceptual approval. We won't take a vote on it, but then Bill and Matt and Tammy, when we get closer, you know, to the new year and the new budget time, you know, we can bring this back up and just see where it stands. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Dwight, you're good with that?
Yeah, it's
Kate,
good.
you're good. Mark?
For me.
Mark's good. Okay, so so guys, Matt and Tammy and Bill, we're good with it. We'll just, you know, let's pay attention to what's going on and where we move forward and what the new lay of the land's gonna look like. Okay, so then the next thing I have is the COVID-19 update. Bill, is that something you put in or is that?
I just wanted to make sure I had it in there in case anybody had any questions. I think it kind of got taken care of by talking about it during the superintendent. I don't have any additions.
Does anybody have any questions about it? You guys are making this too easy. Last thing we got is contractual and personnel. I do know we will probably hopefully make a couple decisions tonight. So I don't know, how do we deal with this, Mark and Bill and Rich?
We'll kick everybody out, and then I'll lock the room. And Rich, you can come back into the waiting room, and I'll unlock it when we come out of executive session.
Yeah, that works.
Peter, are you okay with that?
Yes. Would you like me to come back afterwards?
Yes, because I believe we're going to have a couple decisions tonight.
How will we know?
Come right back in. Gonna kick you out. Come right back in. You'll be in the waiting room, and I'll open up the
got it.
waiting room when we get out of executive session.
Will that make a little bell sound or anything? Or shall I
I
stare at my
honestly
computer?
don't know whether it will or not.
Okay. I'll leave the sound on. You can all yell at me.
There you go.
Rich,
Yes, Bill?
could I ask that to start the executive session, that is just the board and myself for a real brief moment, and then let Matt and Tammy go into the waiting room and then bring them in?
Well, we got Yeah, we can do that.
Right, I have one thing to talk about and then, right, okay.
Okay,
So
so
if I was just gonna say, Rich and Peter, if you could wait 5 minutes before you come back in, because I can't let
Okay.
individual people in. I can only open up the whole waiting room.
Right. Yeah, that works. Just please don't make the decision before we come back in.
I think it'll be more than 5 minutes,
Okay.
but that will let Matt and Tammy back in.
Yeah, that works.
Got it. So we'll abandon you for 5 minutes and then come back in and we'll get in the
Well-
waiting room.
Yep.
hang on a sec before you move, before we kick anybody out. I need a motion to move into executive session for contractual issues and personnel issues.
So moved.
So Rick moved. Do I have a second?
I second.
Kate seconds it. Roll call vote. Any discussion? Hearing none. Rick? Aye, Rick?
Aye, oh, absolutely.
Dwight?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Okay, so we're all in favor, so we're moving into executive session, so kick them out. Make sure there's nothing good in that way.
Oh, they're in.
Okay, Peter, are you all set to get some motions?
Am I speaking? Yes, I'm all set.
Okay, so we, by unanimous consent, we came out of executive session. The first contractual issue, the superintendent's gonna bring us more information to our next meeting about the first contractual issue.
Yes.
The second contractual issue, I need somebody to make a motion.
I'll move that we approve the Wyndham Central and NEA, or Wyndham Central NEA contract with River Valleys, and give the chair permission to sign the agreements.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, so Dwight seconds it. Peter, do you have that?
Yes. I
Okay.
do.
Roll call vote, Rick,
Aye.
Dwight,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Okay, so it's all in favor, so the motion carries. And then the third contractual issue, do we have a motion on that?
All right. I move that we give administration, I don't know what the right word is, permission or instruction to hire, move to approve the recommended candidate for teacher position at Dover.
Move to approve hiring the candidate.
For the administration to
Yeah,
offer.
for teacher position at Dover.
That.
Bill,
that all
you were
got
muted.
broken up.
It's a River Valleys contract. We want to maintain the flexibility where we place people. So on the contract, it'll be with River Valleys. So we don't want to make the motion Dover.
Oh, I apologize.
So
I amend
how's it
the
worded?
motion.
Hiring a candidate, approve hiring a candidate.
Approve the administration to offer a contract to the candidate.
Offer a contract. Great. Okay.
Okay, so Mark, you're good with that motion?
I am.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I second.
Okay, so Kate seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. We have to do roll call for everything, Bill. Thumbs up, yeah? Okay, Rick,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Dwight,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Okay, so it's unanimous. Move forward, Matt, Tammy, and Bill. So our next meeting is May 18th at 6 p.m. And if you have anything you can think of that we missed to put on the agenda, please let us know ahead of time. And if there's nothing else, Rick, you ready to make a motion to adjourn?
Just a clarification. Mr. Schauber moved to approve the administration offering a contract to a candidate. Is there a position involved here?
As a teachers.
Teaching contract. Okay, thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn at 20 p.m. and reconvene on the 18th at 6 p.m.
Cool.
May the fourth be with
Second?
you.
That work?
What's be with you?
Yeah, do I have a second?
I
Second?
second.
Second. Mark seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Thank you, folks. We'll see you guys in 2
Thanks,
weeks.
everyone.
Same dot channel.
Night.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, yes.